Let's talk a little bit about PrizePicks and trying to guess what they are up to as we head into football season here 2024.
We're going to talk about PrizePicks, and then thank you for mentioning Underdog, because I totally forgot to put that story onto the rundown, but we'll talk about that in a minute as well. PrizePicks, the newsy part today for PrizePicks, they were awarded a fantasy license in New Hampshire. If you read very carefully into how that's worded, looks to be more toward the peer-to-peer products that we've seen from them in other states. But also, the news that was reported last week after we recorded our podcast was news that kind of split our staff in different camps at Legal Sports Report. So the news is that PrizePicks has retained an investment bank in order to explore M&A opportunities. Now, the question becomes, is that to buy or is that to sell? And my initial instinct, and I talked to our old friend Dustin Gauker, this was his too, my initial instinct was, this is PrizePicks looking to find out what might a sale price look like. There were some on our Legal Sports Report staff, however, who jumped in and said, you know what? They're not all that far away from being able to try to apply for a sports betting license. What if they just want to find some bolt-on things that they could add in and try to make the turn to sports betting? Of course, we haven't seen any instinct from PrizePicks to do that thus far, unlike Underdog, which has a sports betting license in North Carolina and has expressed its ambitions in that area. But what we see here is that PrizePicks is going to engage on this front. And Matt, I'm really curious what your perspective is, because again, I started with the idea that this was definitely them looking to see what does a sale price look like before this California Attorney General opinion potentially comes in a couple of months, and maybe they have some intel that might not go their way. But on the same token, Texas would still be out there, right? And there's still other states in which they're active and would be able to build their product into something bigger. So I'm really curious where you land on this.
I wonder if they are not kicking the tires on. I can only assume, given the numbers that we know, given what we've seen, Adam, and all that they're probably pretty cash rich as it is anyway right now. And then to be able to go in and look at maybe some sort of low-level acquisition type deal to get their foot in the door in some of these states. I mean, I know that we know a lot of these states, a lot of these low-hanging fruit have already either pulled out or gone under or whatever, but there are still some out there that have very little market share that do have at least some sort of access. And I do wonder if maybe they saw what Underdog is trying to do. And what Underdog, to be fair, and we've said this from the get-go and all this, Underdog has never made any qualms about what their eventual goal was. They were always saying, we are going to open a sports book, we want to do sports betting, et cetera, et cetera. I wonder if PrizePicks kind of sees this and maybe sees at least a little bit of the writing on the wall that maybe this gravy train isn't going to last forever, and are trying to see if it's viable to move into the legal space.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be something interesting for us to watch as this develops.
And let's wrap things up here. I sent you a message, and there's no real commentary here more than anything of just the fact that we talk about being cash rich. Underdog probably is too, as they have signed a deal with Bill Belichick to come on weekly and break down film. And the quote here is, as if he were coaching that team, and kind of run you through the thought process of what's going on in the NFL. I got to be honest, as a football nerd, and I'm sure you're a football nerd too, I'm going to watch this because it's going to be awesome. But just it's crazy to think when we talk about, like, you know, the DraftKings and the FanDuels and MGM, Caesars, whatever, all this stuff like that. It's like, yeah, you know what? PrizePicks and Underdog, they got some Skrilla too.
Skrilla is not a word I expected to hear on this podcast, but here we are, as Bill Belichick has signed a deal with Underdog, as you mentioned. And if you had said to me, in 2023, Bill Belichick will be the head coach of the New England Patriots. In 2024, he'll be appearing on the CW on Inside the NFL, and also on a weekly series with Underdog. You would have won a lot of money off me betting the no on that one. So another huge name coming into the space. We, of course, know Mark Cuban, Kevin Durant, and others are investors with Underdog. This a little different deal.
Yeah, just wild. It's, again, something I'm going to watch because that's awesome, right? I mean, he's going to break down film and give us all the insights. Cool stuff. Guys, as every single week here on the podcast, everything that we talk about you can find over at LegalSportsReport.com. So please go in, take in the words that Adam and company are putting on the page over there. Cannot be more proud of the work that's going on over there with his team. Listen, Nebraska, Missouri, hey, maybe looking up. We're talking to you, we're talking to you, New York. Maybe a little iGaming stuff heading your way when it's all said and done here down the line a little bit. Apple, Spotify, Google. Go in, subscribe, rate, review. For Adam, I am Matt. Talk to you guys next week.